The film begins in a future where melting polar ice has drowned all continents in water, forcing mankind to adapt to their new surroundings. They now reside in atolls, which are rough, floating settlements where they eat on seafood and dwell. Trades are made. Plants, dirt, and soil are more expensive than gold, and due to a lack of pure water, people use their urine for cultivation. Despite the fact that the earth has transformed into an endless big ocean, many people believe that dry land exists someplace. Several groups of individuals are searching for the rumored miraculous location in the hopes of enjoying a better life, but no one has been successful so far. We meet a man named Mariner, who lives aboard a dilapidated boat that appears to be made of scrap. He is shown urinating in a little vessel before dumping it into a machine that transforms it into potable water. He has planted a lime tree in the boat, a valuable item in a world without land. Mariner survives on fishing and collecting reusable rubbish from the ocean. After a dive one afternoon, he notices another boat approaching him. The man on the other boat tells Mariner about an atoll where he got supplies. He wishes to sell them, but when Mariner discovers that the man desires nothing in return, he begins to question him. He quickly realizes the stranger has stolen all of his limes. At the same time, a party of smokers appears in their jet skis and attacks them. Despite the fact that Mariner's boat is built of scrap, it is quick and he escapes, while the other man gets arrested by the smoking. Mariner then lands to the atoll, a floating metropolis surrounded by high metal barriers. He claims to be there to trade his goods at the gate. When he enters, he discloses that he has some serious dirt to trade. It is extremely uncommon. When the residents of Atoll see this, they pay him 124 chits in return for a jar of dirt. He subsequently spends the same chits on a tomato plant and other scraps from a woman named. He is returning to his boat after the deal when a family approaches him and asks him to impregnate their daughter, but he refuses. This raises their suspicions about his motives, and they order the villagers to halt him. When Mariner is arrested, the locals learn he is a mutant with gills behind his ears and webbed feet. Mariner attempts to fight back but is caught in a fishing net. Later that night, Helen meets with an elderly man named Gregor and asks when they will be able to leave for dry land. Gregor informs him that the dry land's direction is tattooed on the back of a little girl named Enola, but he does not understand it. Gregor then considers questioning Mariner, who is imprisoned inside a cage. He then approaches Mariner and inquires about the mutation, but Mariner acts contemptuous of him. Mariner only seems interested when Gregor shows him a picture of the tattoo. Mariner wants him to open the cage in exchange for the knowledge, but Gregor is not permitted to do so. The next day, the locals decide to drown Mariner by lowering the cage into the marsh pit. Simultaneously, a smoker army led by Deacon arrives to attack Atoll. They are also on the hunt for the mysterious dryland and the tiny girl who bears the key to its whereabouts. Soon later, the smokers encircle Atoll and begin shooting at residents with huge machine guns, killing dozens. The smokers with the jet skis eventually enter the building through self-built ramps. Inside, Gregor mistakenly fills a balloon and flies away, abandoning Helen and Enola. Meanwhile, Mariner tries to escape, but his cage collapses, forcing it to gradually shrink. Helen becomes aware of this and rushes to his rescue. She agrees to help him if he takes her and Enola with him, which he does. Following that, he instructs Helen and Enola to leave the gate open until he starts his boat. Unfortunately, the gate becomes stuck, so Mariner utilizes the rigging of the ship to fly up, open the gate, and leap back to the boat. Enola and Helen both board the boat and depart from Atoll. The smoker with machine guns, on the other side, continues to shoot in an unknown direction, forcing their leader Deacon's boat to explode. Deacon, on the other hand, dives into the sea at that same moment, saving his life. Following the battle, the smokers continue their search for Enola, having discovered that she has the tattoo of the path to dry ground. The smokers bind one of the natives and question him about Enola. Fearing death, the man tells everything he knows, but he is nevertheless killed as they sail away. Helen asks Mariner whether he knows how to get on dry land, to which he says yes. He does, however, encourage her to dispose of Enola before traveling there because they have limited food and water. Helen attempts to talk him out of it. She even offers herself in exchange for the little girl's life, but Mariner rejects her. Mariner appears to abandon the two in the ocean, but returns later to retrieve them. As soon as they board the boat, the smokers board the plane and start shooting at them. Helen rushes towards the enormous spear gun and fires at it without Mariner's consent as Mariner goes down to grab his weapon. As a result, the plane is now connected to the boat by the metal rope and begins to circle it, entangled in a web. When Mariner realizes this, he runs up to cut the rope and disentangle the boat, as do the smokers. Deacon, on the other hand, predicts their whereabouts and sends his soldiers to find Enola. They stumble across a drifter while sailing who admits to holding some vital papers and offers to trade them for Helen. Mariner agrees despite Helen's refusal. While the drifter transports Helen to his boat, Mariner immediately studies the paper and discovers that it is useless. He runs inside the drifter's boat and cancels the transaction. The drifter gets enraged by this and resolves to stab Mariner. A scuffle ensues, and Mariner murders the drifter. Mariner then shows how he fishes in the following scene. As bait, he dives into the water, and a gigantic deformed fish appears. He then kills the fish with his weapon and prepares dinner for everyone. Mariner was initially nasty to them, but now he looks to be nice to them as he begins talking to Enola. He lets Enola draw with colored pencils and teaches her how to swim. Helen appears concerned as she observes their friendship strengthening. They eventually come upon a barter outpost and find some folks waving towards them. Because Mariner is suspicious, he looks beneath the water and discovers the smokers who are waiting for them. They manage to avoid the smokers' onslaught in some way. Mariner then uses the extra sails as parachutes to help them flee faster. Mariner urges Helen to divulge the truth about Enola's tattoo after they are secure, so she reveals that the tattoo represents the road to dry ground. Mariner asserts that dry ground is a myth when she hears this, but she does not believe him. As a result, he chooses to demonstrate to her. Helen is placed within a huge bubble and submerged. He can breathe through his gills, so he takes her deep under the ocean and shows her the previous world, which is completely submerged, which surprises her. Enola, who is waiting for them in the boat, detects something in the water and hastily hides. When Mariner and Helen swim to the surface, they learn that the smokers have nabbed them. Deacon blackmails them into informing him about Enola, but they both refuse. Deacon then pretends to kill them by shooting at the air. As a result, Enola emerges, concerned, but she is swiftly apprehended by the smokers. Deacon instructs his men to murder Mariner and Helen, but the two flee by diving into the water. Mariner uses his gills to help Helen breathe underwater until the smoking leave. They come to the surface after some time and realize that their boat has been destroyed. Deacon, on the other hand, acts kind to Enola and inquires about the tattoo behind her back, but she remains silent. He then offers her some colored pencils and asks again, but she remains silent. Mariner and Helen feel forlorn when they return to the wrecked boat. Helen asks why he didn't take her when she offered herself, to which he says that she didn't like him at the time. Her heart is touched by his response, and she kisses him before the two of them make love on the boat. The next day, Mariner attempts to fix the boat, but they come upon Gregor in his hot air balloon. Gregor then brings them to the boat where the adult survivors are staying. Meanwhile, Deacon collects the smokers and tells them he has located the way to dry land. He tells everyone to start rowing, which propels the ship ahead. As the guys begin to row, Mariner approaches Deacon alone and requests that Enola be released. When Deacon refuses, Mariner threatens to drop the flame into the oil reserve, causing the entire ship to blow up. Deacon is not certain that he will behave irrationally, but Mariner drops the flame, causing a big explosion. Deacon then runs with the small girl just before Mariner reaches the podium's top and discovers him on the plane. He quickly shoots a spear gun at the ship's barrier before ziplining down. Then he uses the metal rope to form a barrier, causing the plane to crash before taking off. Enola, thankfully, is unscathed, and the two of them embrace. The spacecraft, however, begins to break down, leaving them with no way to escape. Fortunately, Helen, Gregor, and an adult inhabitant arrive on the hot air balloon at the same time. They drop the rope and get Mariner and Enola up before the ship breaks down, but Deacon takes the rope and climbs up with him. Helen witnesses this and tosses a heavy object at him, while Enola kicks him, causing him to fall into the ocean. Mariner and Helen arrive at the hot air balloon, but a determined Deacon hops on a jet ski and shoots at it, causing Enola to crash into the ocean. Deacon tells his men to capture the small girl, but Mariner responds quickly. Before leaping from the hot air balloon, he grabs the rope and ties it around his leg. He grabs Enola and rises back up just in time, causing the jet skis to crash and explode. Finally, they arrive safely at the hot air balloon. Gregor is able to read Enola's tattoo this time and heads in the direction of dry ground. They spot a bird on their hot air balloon after several days of flight. They are shocked to see land for the first time in their life. When they look deeper, they are happy to be there and to start exploring the surroundings. They enter a little cottage a few moments later to find a couple's bones laying together. They also find a map drawing that looks similar to the one on Enola's back. Enola's family owns the hut, it is revealed. Her family appears to have abandoned her in the expectation that she will lead other people to dry land. Meanwhile, Mariner finds the land unsettling and believes he belongs in the sea. He then approaches Enola and tells her he is going, which makes her sad. He informs her that he wasn't born for the sea, but she assures him that he will adapt. He does not, however, change his mind and bids Enola and Helen farewell before departing. Helen and Enola watch him sail away from a precipice in the last scene. Subscribe for more videos like this, enable notifications, and leave a